Ken Pierce here. I am with Charlie Buxton. This is one of the Charlie's angles that we're going to bring to you, and she's an LPGA teaching pro out at Monarch. But as I've told you in a different video, that Vicki and I live on a golf course where we live right near, we can really see it well, the forward tees, you know, and mostly the seniors and the ladies play on the forward tees. Well, we get an opportunity on the weekends to see an awful lot of ladies come by, and Charlie, we talked about this before, but I noticed there's a difference in between men and women in certain areas, and I have three areas. One of them is strength, rotation, and stability, but I think the stability is really a huge one. How do you feel on those three things as related to a woman? Because I'm obviously not.
I think that's a great question. I think what we see, and of course nothing applies to everybody, but in general what we see is that a lot of men come from a very strong athletic background. So they're much more used to lowering their center of gravity if they've played football or basketball or baseball. All those stances get them low and connected to the ground, and their center of gravity is lower. For women, I think also we have training to stand up tall. So we're bringing our center of gravity up when we stand up tall. And if we haven't played sports, and typically we're not playing the football part, we might play some of those other sports and volleyball and so on. And but we don't always make that connection between lowering our center of gravity for stability in golf.
Oh wow. So men more interested, even if they don't play the game, maybe football, but they see everybody in a very athletic stance. Could you use the term more athletic?
I think that's a great way to say it. And I think there's another issue, which is when we set up in a great golf posture, as I like to call it, which would be an athletic stance with that center of gravity low, what happens is that our rear end kind of sticks out, and as women that's typically not something that we're looking to do. So we fight that. We're conscious, see, because you wouldn't think of it as a man.
Do you know, I gotta tell you something, right? This is really interesting. I just saw a video by Michelle Wee, and she was talking about how she gets really wide in her stance, and she actually talked about, like, she sticks her behind out a little bit to get a real firm base. That's phenomenal. I've never really thought about that.
So that's something that we don't naturally tend to do. So sometimes we have to encourage that as part of gaining stability as a woman.
So that's stability, and then rotation too, I think. Isn't that same factor in rotation? Well,
in rotation, we sometimes actually can have the opposite, in that women tend to have greater flexibility, men have greater strength. Typically, again, not always, but generally speaking. And if we have women who are less athletic, they still may have a lot of flexibility. So they may rotate, but they may not understand, unless they've had some good coaching or just great natural ability, on how to work that rotation. And into rotation comes a separation of the upper and lower body as we rotate. All parts of the body are not rotating at the same rate.
You know, and the other thing about flexibility is if you're really, really flexible, maybe you extend too far and your body doesn't know when to stop.
Beautiful.
Because stopping is a real important part in the golf swing. Not only are you taking it back, but there's a point where your body comes here, stops, and then moves forward. And
this is so important, because we need to load, and that's I think is such an important factor that I tend to emphasize with my students, that it's really important to get loaded at the top of the backswing so that you have all your energy loaded and ready to release as you swing through the ball. Very often, if your golf swing is not working correctly, what I find in the lessons that I give or the coaching, that often there's really something simple that can bring it all together. And sometimes the student or the golfer is trying to overcomplicate it and try to do too many different things. And sometimes one simple thing will allow the rest of the swing to happen naturally.
Charlie's one of the best in the coaching and teaching. And this was Charlie's Angle, and we will see you on the next one.
See you next time.
Take care.